How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffle Rowlett, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today, guys, we're going to be taking a look at some of the, one of the most interesting things we can take a look at, which is we have possibly hints for what the evil organization or the villain team in Pokémon Legends Z-A is actually going to be. We kind of have already seen hints to it, so I thought we'd take a look at it right now. So, starting things off, the first thing that was posted was from Light88. Light is one of our friends, and he noted that if you look at the logo that's shown during the trailer, if you actually watch the trailer of Legends Z-A, there's this actual logo that shows up at certain times, and the logo looks like something very particular. It looks like a real phenomena known as a Quasar, which are a subclass of active galactic nuclei and are basically just extremely luminous galactic cores where gas and dust are falling into a supermassive black hole, emitting electromagnetic radiation across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. So basically, it's very spacey, okay? That's very much the only way I can put it. It's essentially a point in space, a location in space, where things are kind of converging into one. And what we see right here, in an interesting way, is that logo seems to kind of look very reminiscent to a real-life Quasar. Even the actual text underneath, the text that just says, there's just like a piece of text below there that says something, but that text seems to be also oddly similar to that. Like, it has a similar feeling to, of course, the word Quasar. So, we kind of already know from this that maybe the team will be called Team Quasar. And some other people have other theories, like, for example, Bennu Ryder says, black holes, question mark. Sounds like the kind of holes that Hoopa can make with multi-dimensional wormholes. Maybe this is how we will time travel in PLZA. And yes, I know people have said that it's not really time traveling with Hoopa, and the portals are not really time travel, but nonetheless, though, just the fact that, like, they are essentially, you know, also still multi-dimensional portals, you never know. They can do a lot of stuff with that, right? They can do a lot of things with it. But it doesn't end right there, though. There's also a big post from Soul Silver, who kind of just shares something that he found from none else than Kuro Blitz. But Kuro basically made a post which said, Flare and Quasar. On one hand, you have a solar flare, right? You guys know what solar flares are. It's like bursts of energy that burst out of like different stars and, of course, our own local sun. It just, like, solar flares just happen naturally, okay? It's just bursts of energy that flare out of an actual, like, you know, actively burning sun, and they can shoot out like energies that could cause, like, problems, right? And that's where Team Flare gets its name from, like solar flare. So the question then is Team Quasar based on a literal quasar in space? Like, that seems to be the kind of point that we're going towards right here. And then what we actually see from Soul Silver is the following. It says, 1 million people have said it already, but just to join in, the symbol we see in PLZA's trailer is almost definitely representing a quasar. Now, this is probably the symbol of the team/group that is in charge of Lumiose's redevelopment. They probably enlist us, the player, to help them out. Keep in mind, we've already seen this happen once before, okay? This is not, like, out of the realm of possibility or, you know, unlikely, but we have seen this in the past, and the last time we saw this, what actually happened was we were able to help out. We were actually in Pokemon Legends Arceus, and we were part of the group that were putting basically Sinnoh together, right? Doing research for the Pokedex and all that kind of stuff. And then we were part of that expedition group, and funny enough, that group is essentially what kind of ends up being Team Galactic later down the line, which is really odd. So maybe it's the same thing here. We're part of Team Quasar, which eventually is used as inspiration for Team Flare, right? Like, that seems to at least be where this is going. He says, though, this of course connects back to the outer space themes of X and Y. So X and Y, yes, does have a space theme all the time. And Megas, which I'll go more into detail on in another post. What's interesting concerning Team Flare is that both Quasar and Solar Flares are very bright. I'm not sure which is brighter, but if a Quasar this does actually give some points to this being set in the future, since Team Quasar would be brighter than Team Flare. In other words, the next level, evolution of Team Flare. Like, they would be even bigger and better and stronger, right? That's at least the vibe that I'm getting. And also, you don't really know if this game's going to be set in the past or the future yet. It is still a little bit all over the place. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. But for the most part, that's pretty much it, what we have in regards to it from Soul. Now let's move on to some other theories from other people. For example, we have this from Mordekai's. Mordekai's is a great little theorist. He's been doing some great stuff on Twitter. I think you guys should definitely go follow him on Twitter. Make some great stuff. But what he said here is, the way nobody's talking about this, with eye emojis and then Legends Z-A, and he's talking about the fact that if you look at the shape of, like, Zygarde, right? Like, I think the 100% version of Zygarde, the shape of on his forehead here looks oddly similar, okay? Very oddly similar to the Quazar logo. Like, just the shape of it, kind of like a circle in the middle, two pieces going up and down. The fact that it looks a little bit similar is kind of intriguing. I'm not going to lie. It is an intriguing prospect to think about. And then, yeah, I don't know. It's a bit weird. And then you have Monkey Screwnuts who says, wait. Check Pokemon Legends Arceus. Check the crack in space symbol. Then come back to Z-A. It's like the crack that explodes. And then here they're showing kind of like those little like wormhole thingies that happened. And what he says, basically, he just shows an image of it. But then as you see a breakdown here, Monkey says, it's the one you see when the screen is loading, usually in the bottom right. But yeah, it's meant to symbolize the crack in space. And then Mordecai says, oh, wait, I know what you're talking about. And now, I need to take a look at and find it. You'll find a loading screen usually when you go from field to the town. When I saw Z-A, I was like, wait a moment. Leonardo DiCaprio meme moment. Okay, definitely going to play PLA tonight and check it out. So yeah, we'll see if Mordecai discovers it. But basically, they're talking about a logo that shows up when you're loading and you're headed towards one of these like cracks in space, so to say. So maybe what we're seeing here with Team Quazar, because it's going to be, Quasar's literally black holes, obviously, there is some potential that could be giving us, like, some sort of travel through time and space, right? Like, some travel, I mean, even through just space. But those two are kind of interconnected. So it's possible that Team Quazar has maybe found a way to travel to the future or the past, and then they're using that to, like, redevelop the city or do stuff in the past to make the city in the future look a certain way. Again, it's just theories, but I would love to know what you guys think about this, and also its connections to Legends Arceus. But that's pretty much where we leave that on. Let's move on to the next thing. Now, this is a big post over on Reddit by Primal Pokemon Player, who says the Z-A team logo theory. So let's look at what he actually has to say. So he says, I've been wondering about the logo in Pokemon Legends Z-A's trailer. I can't help but shake the feeling that I've seen the logo somewhere before. I've read the current Quasar theory, which sounds like a genuine possibility, but I decided to dig a bit deeper, whether or not it might be connected to something already established as well. That's when I remembered the icons of Pokemon cards, in particular the ones of the 2004 Team Magma versus Team Aqua cards. Although mirrored, it looks a lot like the centerpiece of the new logo. I think he's talking about, like, if we look here at the image, he's talking about this little logo in the top right there. Don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like right underneath the, it's like right on the top where you see the Team Magma kind of, I guess Team Aqua logo right underneath it. So that's what he's referring to. But continuing on, though, he says that pretty much, although mirrored, it looks a lot like the centerpiece of the new logo, which got me thinking, what if it's connected to the ancestors of Archie and Maxie we see pictured in Legends Arceus, which, yes, we do see those two, of course, showing up in there. And he continues on and says that maybe, the predecessor of those two teams were the one and the same, but rather focused on Rayquaza. So basically, think about it. Team Magma is focused on Groudon. Team Aqua is focused on Kyogre. So what if in the past, the predecessor of those two teams were one and the same, but rather focused on Rayquaza, bringing it all back to the Quasar, which also would go well with how connected the Delta episode was to Gen 6, and to an extent how Oras served as the spiritual Pokemon Z in the past. Although, this time, they're faced with a different large green serpentine Pokemon. It would also make Z-A a revisit of Gen 6 as a whole, rather than just X and Y, which is true, because Oras is still part of Gen 6, right? Now, theory B is that it could also possibly that it's a play on the Arceus logo, just like how Volo's clothes are basically resembling the logo as well. But I feel like that's a bit more far-fetched than the previous theory. So, again, don't really know if it's related to Arceus. Feels a little bit far-fetched in that regard. Some other people said, like, for example, if you see the gold version of the logo seen around 0313 and 124 in the trailer, where it says about the urban redevelopment plan, I know I've seen it before, and unless I'm gaslighting myself, I was immediately hyped when I saw that. But now I can't, for the love of God, find it. But yeah, so some people feel like they've seen that logo before, but I don't know if that's the case, though. But yeah, that pretty much summarizes that theory. So let's move on to the next one, which is this post right here. Now, this is from Humming Bee Art, who says that this is most likely a reach, but this is their theory for the team or company that created the urban redevelopment plan. Unlikely, so this is going to be taken with a grain of salt. What we see right here is the following. It's basically a logo of, specifically, Team Galactic, where it says, if Legends Arceus did this, so right, so you have the Team Galactic logo on the left, and then a logo recreation by, Nintendo nerd of, I guess, the other logo from, Legends Arceus. And then there you have Team Flare, and then Flare, I guess, with, well, it's not really a flare in that sense. It's actually, again, it looks more like a Quasar. It fits more with that. But if it is some form of flare, I guess it is shining brightly, right? And then he connects, like, the fact that we have a regular flare, like a real-life burning flare, and then also a lens flare, which is, something you would see in a camera, or, it's just something that's caused by, like, really bright light. So this is a massive reach. Don't take it seriously about. But yeah, so I don't know if that's the connection, but there is definitely a connection between Team Flare and Team Quasar, or whatever they're going to be called. Quasar Foundation, Quasar Group, doesn't really matter. There's definitely a connection there. Like, it's impossible for there not to be some overarching connection between the two. Like, it literally just makes total sense. But that's at least where I'm at in regards to this. And of course, the lens flare thing does also fit, right? Team Flare and then lens flare. Like, it actually does fit with that too. Like, the shape of the Quasar does kind of look like that in this case. So that's where we're going to leave this one for now. Move on to the next one. So we have some theories about, like, again, so the symbol. This is from the Kid President, where he just shared the logo, and people were kind of giving their own IDs on what they could be. Some people say that it appears at 012, 03, 032, and 123 of the actual trailer, which we can open up and take a look at real quick. But yeah, you guys can see, like, 012, right up in the top right corner, you guys will see the actual logo. 032, let's see if we can find it. It's right when the stuff goes starting. There you go, guys. The Quasar logo again. Again, it's very much present throughout. It's not something that just, like, appears once. And then, of course, the final time it shows up is at 123. So if we go to 123, again, it's up in the top right corner. So it looks like, listen, again, this plan, this whole thing we see right here, this book that's being, like, that's we're drawing the sketches of the redevelopment plan, looks like it's set in the past, but the actual representation we see in the video is something a bit different. I mean, even the logo has this weird thing going on where the Z-A looks more futuristic, whereas the Pokemon logo that says Legends looks more old school, looks like something way more old school. But again, I digress. Then we see down here from Kid President saying, from what I can tell, it doesn't seem to be related to the Arceus Ring or the Gingo Guild and Volo at all. Nor does it look like Team Flare's logo. I'm not super connected to the lore, so maybe it's obvious, but it could not be, it could be a fun guess. But yeah. Then you also have Sugar Hero, who basically shared this tweet, which was from this person named Instant, who said, "Oh, sick, Quasar is a star-related thing, and Team Flare was based on the different classes of stars, and more generally, the sun." Like, yeah, it's totally the Galaxy Expedition team for Team Flare. So yes, basically, it's the same premise, right? It's the same direction that we're talking about here. Because if you think about it, right, Team Flare, based on solar flares, right? Literally, like, solar, like this burst of energy coming out of the, out of the sun. And there are different levels of solar flares, right? That's like the different levels of the people that work in Team Flare. Like, they actually have different levels based on different levels of solar flares. But that's not all. If you think about it, solar flares are all to do with the suns, right? Like different stars in our galaxies. But it doesn't end there. Black holes are basically stars that have more or less died and just kind of, compacted, I guess is the way to put it. I don't really know how to explain this thing because I don't know off the top of my head how black holes are created, but basically tears in space, more or less, and it's like, I think they get somewhat created when a star just goes boom, right? And the thing is, again, it's related to stars. Like, black holes have a direct connection to stars. They're not just kind of existing in a void outside. Like, they just don't exist like this. They are created from something, or they exist from something in some way. And I feel like in some sense, the Quasar thing makes total sense. It's like the natural evolution of that, right? It's the extreme of that, right? It's the bigger version of that. Solar flares only do so much. Quasars, that's when shit goes, big. Okay, that's when things get interesting. But that's pretty much where we are in regards to that. And that's pretty much where we got that one. So, the next thing, though, is from Jordan, and he actually wanted to, like, try to read what this says, and he says, "I can't help but try to read this. Assuming the overlapping letters, I think the last four are possibly anar, which, using an English search tool, gives us only chanar, fanar, and planar for possible words. And I don't think the second character is an L. And then chanar is a South American fruit-bearing tree with no notable significance, so I don't think that's it. Fanar is a neighborhood in Turkey, which sounds unrelated at a glance, but the name is derived from a Greek word meaning a lantern, streetlight, or lamppost, which would make sense in a city based on Paris, the city of light. And then, all right, yeah, Quasar, I see it now. And Quasar does look actually the best. Like, Quasar fits the best with it. And even the actual Quasar, like the actual logo, does look like a Q as well. Like, it has the shape of a Q literally. Like, it literally has the perfect shape of a Q. And I don't know, man. It's intriguing, to say the least. It's very intriguing, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. And here you actually see Pearl Enthusiast saying, hopefully the leader won't try to nuke the region like another person. And of course, there's Team Flare, who will revive the ultimate weapon, eliminate everyone who isn't in our group. But yeah, it's a little bit extreme. But nonetheless, that's where he ends with that one. And then, of course, there's a massive theory from none else than, of course, Eduardo, and he does a lot of theories. So we're going to take a look at this stuff of his in a different video, but I want to read this like one post right here, which he did, which is, in summary, Pokemon Legends Z-A is about this Quasar group renovating Lumiose City based on Houseman's renovation of Paris from the 1850s forward. The theme will likely tie into Lysander's Beauty Eternal. The player might be helping with the effort somehow. And Houseman is basically this renovation plan of Paris that was supposed to be was a vast public work program commissioned by French Emperor Napoleon III and directed by his perfect of the Seine, Georges Eguine Houseman. I can't really say the name, but yeah, that's basically what they're basing this on. At least that's the feeling. And we continue on saying that Lumiose's 5 colored plazas do not have their obelisk in this map, so they will either be added or removed throughout the game, depending on the era it is set in. Zygarde's 5 cores and cubes will be tied to the 6 plazas, which likely also host the game's boss battles. So yeah, and he's talking about, again, the 5 spots we've seen around the map, like the 5 circles that we see all around the map. That's more or less what he's referring to. And that's kind of where he goes with it. And he continues on about Quasar, saying, as Quasar is a quasi-stellar star-like radio source, it's possible that the A will tie into the flying cosmic law dragon counterpart to Zygarde's earthly order dragon. So basically he's talking about how Zygarde represents order. Well, this dragon, the A dragon, whatever this A Pokemon is going to represent chaos. It's going to be the chaos Pokemon of destruction. Now, this A-Dragon could maybe tie into Prism Tower and its 6 floors, as counterparts to Lumiose and its 6 plazas, which actually could make total sense. He continues on saying, Mega Evolution will be back to tie into the rainbow theme, and the Prism Tower's square Earth symbolism, as the red, yellow, green, blue colors are often used for the 4 directions, and Gen 1 games are seen in the Rainbow Rocket logo. This will provide new Megas for the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee sequel later on, which I don't know about Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee sequel, dude. I don't know about that one, man. I don't know if that's going to mean anything. But yeah, nonetheless, though, like I said, Eduardo has a ton of amazing theories, which I think are worthwhile to take a look at. So you guys can take a look at them if you want to on your own. If you don't want to, that's of course fine. But I'm going to be diving through his theories in a separate video because there's more than enough here to make a very long video to talk about all these things. So let's summarize what we got going on right now here, okay? So basically, we can pretty much summarize that there's a group called Team Quasar. This group is in the works right now to basically, or they are in the works of having a redevelopment plan for the city of Lumiose. Their goals are unknown to us, but given the fact that they have a connection to space, and the fact that they most likely are called Team Quasar, means that they are probably somewhat either the successors or predecessors, right? So in the sense of successor would be somebody to continue the work of Team Flare, or a predecessor would be similar to, the Expedition Squad we were part of in, of course, Pokemon Legends Arceus, which was the predecessor, the first version of Team Galactic before Team Galactic existed and was an evil organization hell-bent on making a new galaxy and literally new universe, right? So basically we don't know which one of those two we are. The fact that the redevelopment plan was drawn on paper early on by Team Quasar gives the feeling that maybe this could be set before X and Y, and then maybe the actual conclusion of it is something we're gonna see later down the line, and maybe this is a ultimate version of Team Flare, an off version, a side version of Team Flare, or Team Flare maybe was an offshoot of Team Quasar. Maybe it was a part of Team Flare that was split off, a split off splinter group that was doing things on their own, or they're still connected. Who knows? But at the end of the day, basically, these two things are interconnected no matter what way you split it, turn it, twist it. No matter what you do, these two are connected, okay? They have a connection at the core of them. So that's pretty much what we have, guys. I don't really know what else to say, but what do you guys think about Team Quasar? Do you think they're going to be relevant? Do you think they're not going to be relevant? I'd love to know in the comment section down below. And I want to thank you all for watching today, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out, and bye-bye.